Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm excited to have everyone here and lean in and share. Before we get started with the sharing, though, I have a couple housekeeping things I wanted to mention, and I put them in the team call event. So to kind of save me from blasting you guys with a million Kelly thoughts a week, I'm going to collect some of them and share them at the beginning of our call so that way we can chew on it. You know what I mean? As was an awesome suggestion by Megan, because I'm trying to, make sure I'm giving you the vital information, but not blowing your feed up with all of my ideas. So we've been talking a lot in the team page. The three things I want to cover real quickly are, number one, we did put a document together that's a recipe book. So if you haven't already, if you search the team page for recipe book, it'll pop up. If everybody could come up with 2 or 3 recipes that we like, it could be an easy breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snack, or Shakeology recipe. If you want to do more, that's great. This is just an add-on that we were going to share in the challenge group with our challengers. And if there's a link to like a website, we could add the link. But my thought is it'll be small, but as we do more groups, it'll grow. If every group we added 1 recipe to it, 10 of us, that's like 10 recipes every month that gets put in it, and it's just kept in the groups as a value add. And if a challenger shares a recipe, we can choose to include it, but I don't want to give access to a million people for editing, because plus they might think something's healthy that's not. So that's one thing. So if you haven't done that, if you could put that on your to-do list, maybe next week to add a recipe or 2. Elizabeth's helping edit it because she's like the mad recipe mama with her. She's like, I already have a family cookbook I'm putting together. I'm like, that's amazing. So, and she does, I know, I'm so thankful. So if you need, they should share it in the group. Yes. Yeah. So if they have a recipe, that we can definitely do where we add it. Now, what I'll do is on the recipe document, the recipe post, if you want to add one, you can either put it in the post and we will put it in the document, or you can put your email in the post. No, I'll just make it editable so everybody can upload it. So let me write that down real quick, because we were trying to brainstorm that, like how to make it where people could add to the recipe, because it's actually set up like it's all one big Google Doc. So
if you make it editable, will people who like our challengers who go and look at it, will they be able to edit too?
No, because what I'll do is I'll change the link to when we put it in the group, that will be view only, but the link on our team page will be editable. Why is that word so hard to say? The second thing is Clean Week. I did a video last week. If you haven't had a chance to check out, 2 things I'd like to add. So Clean Week Prep Week starts Monday. If they're going to do Shakeology, I highly recommend they order it on Monday or Tuesday to give it time to arrive. Which, that being said, I'll have the first day, I'll go ahead and put up here are your options post when we do the welcome. So that way it's easier, because I feel like that's an easy post to be like, hey, check out the options and let's talk about them. But to make it more community building, 2 things. One was every day asking a get to know you question. This was something that was suggested in the Team Courage, I don't know if it was a retreat or where, but I think Summer and some others have talked about getting to know you questions help on free groups where you're forming, because you can ask. So if we could make a list of 10 get to know you questions. So in that post, if you could just make suggestions, that way every morning they have their workout, they have a get to know you question they're posting in the morning, like, where were you born, or like, what's a cool place you've lived, or I'm not good at coming up with these questions. That's about all I have. So if you could come up with a list, then we can make a document of icebreaker questions to have. And then the other thing is every day of Clean Week, we've kind of been doing this, but having a tip of like when somebody suggested cleaning up your coffee in baby steps, or like bone broth, I think is a huge one that's easy, but people can learn. And I thought if we could come up with, 5 to 7, that way if we want to, we can always rotate one out to put in the document. The thought I had was we could also make a little pretty PDF at the end that's like 5 baby steps, and at the end say, here's your PDF as a thank you for being with us that you can take with you of what you've learned this week. and then invite them on to obviously the 30-day, but it's kind of like a freemium too. So later when you're talking to people, if they're like, I can't even do a group, you can say, can I share with you 5 tips that really helped me? And then you can send them the PDF. And then you can say, and if you're ever ready to get surrounded by some support, I have a group every month that's kind of based on this. So
I wrote that down from Summer's call the other night, like freemium ideas.
Yes.
One she said was 7 easy recipes or like 10 favorite snacks. But even just like, I started making a list of baby steps.
Yes.
Just things that you could give somebody a list of, like switching to brown rice, mixing spaghetti squash with your pasta, replacing 1 soda with water, switching to real butter, like
Yes.
from margarine or something, like just that whole kind of a concept of, I mean, I just started writing it down, just everything that was popping into my head.
Yes.
I think the thing that takes time is putting it together.
Right.
Like,
and I think that's solid. Like that's perfect. You're doing that. Cause I think something we should all do is, and I think we could talk about this even more later, is coming up with our own freemiums. Like Megan has an emergency checklist one. I have 5 grain-free meals that I use that I shared it with people because I get asked that a lot. But my thought today is, if we do one too that we give as a value add, like thank you for being in our challenge and here's our gift to you. It's also a follow-up if they don't go to our 30 days. So if you check the video on Clean Week, if you could just watch it and give your feedback in the comments, I'll put it all together in the posts. And the great thing is if you come up with 10 baby steps and we only want to use 5 of them this time, we can always rotate what they are, because I could put them on the document, like pick from these 10, pick 5 as a group of coaches that you want to focus on. Because someone might not feel comfortable doing bone broth, but they might want to talk about how they stopped eating white rice to brown rice, or you know what I'm saying? So, but I think it would just give them completion of they're exercising, they're getting a simple tip, and they're getting to know each other. Because I've noticed that the posts that ask questions about people, they really get into like, oh, you went there. Oh, I used to live there. Like it's a good icebreaker. So that's the second thing. If you guys could take some time before the weekend to kind of check that out for the Clean Week so that I can get it polished up for us to kick off. And I'd like to run 2 Clean Week groups because our last one was really big. We had like 60 people, and I think having about 30 is a good size. So think about that tonight, like who would like to team up, and so we can do 2, like Elizabeth and Emily did one, no sugar, and they had 25 people, did you say? So it was a good size. Our no sugar was like 60. I feel like we could have had 3 because then people get lost, you know? And the last thing was book club. So I posted in there that the Redefined group is doing a devotional study, but this is a little different because it's a weekly webinar. They're reading a devotional that's 1 a day. So if you would like to be a part of that, I posted the information and I linked our team page to the Redefined group if you're not in it. So that's a really great way to connect with coaches. As far as the book club, for us as a team and our challengers, the book that won was Made to Crave. And I wanted to ask you guys, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to say, let's wait and do that in May? Do you want to say, let's start, like what, like this is up to you. And the way it would work is we would share with the group that we're reading it. And then we would read it throughout the month. We could share obviously in our challenge group about it, but the last team call of the month would be book club. And we would invite our challengers to be guests. And whether you finish the book or not, you're welcome to be a part of it. So I wanted to just give like 5 minutes to talk about it. And then that's enough housekeeping. And then you guys can share. So what are y'all's thoughts? And you can unmute and just talk. Anybody?
I think we should do it in May because in our group, I'm sure not everybody's doing personal development, but people have been talking about it and we've kind of been talking about what we're doing. And I don't want to be like, oh, stop the presses, get a new book. You know what I mean? Like, I think that because we're a week in, well, I mean, it's Thursday, but you hear what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I think we should make the plan and get it and plus I know some people, like I know for a while you were giving it as a welcome gift. And I like that way, if somebody wanted to do that, they'd have time to do that and whatever. I think we should, my vote would be to do it in May.
I mean, I'm cool with that too, because you could use it as a promotion for your May group invite that you're going to be digging in and having a book club that you're offering in addition to the challenge group. And it actually would be cool because we could offer for the 2B mindset people to read it too, because I'm sure it will align with that, which that's next week's whole like can of worms. But what are y'all's thoughts? I'm either way. Like, I mean, that feels more natural. We could vote. All in favor of waiting till May, say aye, or raise your hand.
That's everybody I can see.
Okay. Okay. That makes it easier because I feel like it's a great idea, but I don't want to rush it and it blow up in our face. So I will put that down. All right, sweet. So clean week, if you could check that out, and recipe book, if we could get working on that so we can kind of share it with the group. And then next week's team call is at 1:30 in the afternoon. And I posted in the event, I really want to dig in and plan on the 2B mindset. If you are not aware, Summer Tucker's offering a coach group where we can go in when it launches. And she's going to, like, we're going to do the first week together before it launch, so we can do it as coaches. But also she's going to share tips on how to share it on social media, how she's going to run her groups and stuff. And so my thought was it would be cool for us to dig in there, get some ideas, and then we can dig in together and brainstorm, as a team doing a group on its own, because this would need to be run separately from our regular challenge group. But I need to look more into the program itself before we could even, that's why I thought next week we could kind of make that our homework to kind of train ourselves on that. So just putting that bug in your ear.
Do we have a price tag on it yet?
Yes.
I looked at it today and I couldn't, I saw the chart, like the flow chart that tells you what to order.
Yeah.
But I didn't see.
There's a graphic I posted. I believe it's like $99 for just 2B and then it's $160 for the challenge pack with Shakeology, and then it's $200 for the challenge pack, Shakeology, and all access or annual Beachbody on Demand for a year. And they're not calling it all access anymore. It's only annual because it's not access to 2B. So we have to retrain our mind.
But we don't know, like, if it's going to be its own website?
That's the stuff I got to read on. I'm pretty sure
I couldn't find that today. I tried to I read some FAQ stuff and I couldn't find.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of hoping. Well, I think it's set up like an app where you're working with her and her videos and her information. So that's why it's separate.
So it would kind of be like the way we did 131.
Yes, that's what I'm assuming.
Because I kind of was hoping it was going to be like back when they had the locked content on demand, so I could sit and watch it on my TV.
I know. I do think that, and that's what'll be interesting as they're rolling more information out. I do think that with programs coming out, the way they're starting to do early access to challenge packs, it's going to be locked like that on demand. Mm-hmm. So people will see it but can't have it as soon as other people, which is a really cool feature that we can chat more about. Summer posted a lot of videos from the Success Club trip, and I have not watched all of them, but if you have time, there are videos with Carl Deichler explaining all the changes. Like, they're re-releasing Shift Shop in the fall. They're like with more workouts and more live workouts, and kind of like they did 80 Day Obsession. They're releasing a new the Portion Fix is a whole new thing they're doing. Like, there's a lot of information. I was like listening in the car today thinking I need to listen when I can write this stuff down. So, and a lot of it they'll obviously train on at Summit. But as what I see is, as this stuff comes down the pipeline, we'll like lean in, see what the larger team is doing, and then huddle together and figure out what we need to do. So anyway, but yeah, I need to look more into that stuff. I feel like 2B Mindset snuck up on me. Like, all of a sudden it was here. I loved Megan's post today. If y'all didn't see, she shared a really great way to breadcrumb it. Like, yeah, so I'll let you know if I find out any more information. And same thing, if you guys find stuff, just share it in the team page. I'm very excited about it. Everything I've heard is it's nothing but like really positive for helping people, especially people. I mean, how many times we have challengers that they get so tripped up in the nutrition part, like I mean, that was me for a long time. Yeah, I still get tripped up with the nutrition part sometimes. So I'm excited about it, even just to learn. But so that, all of that being said, with the housekeeping part, I wanted to just say I'm really excited for you guys that are here tonight to share. Yeah, me too. We went on retreat a month ago. When was it? And, coming up with Summit, and having after Summit, there will be, you know, other events, Super Saturdays and the Narrow event in the fall. We had the Success Club trip that a lot of our fellow coaches got to go on, and events is just are a powerful thing, and for different reasons. You know, when you go to events, you get to train with people face to face, which is amazing, but you also get to hug people in the flesh and have these side conversations that are really powerful. I've been a coach now 5 years this July, and at the Team Courage retreat, there were coaches there like Liz Taffel, who I've never got to sit down and really chat with as much as I did that night or that day. Like, I've talked to her in passing, but I got to be in a room with her and actually, and she's, you know, like, that was a big blessing to me. Or other girls that I've chatted with on Facebook that we got to sit and have breakfast and like actually talk, or to watch our team members come. And we would, for me in my comfort zone, I'd want to like stick my shoulder next to like Megan or Kathleen and like not budge. But instead it was like we were shifted around so much in the house. I hardly saw our fellow team members, but I got to see you guys talking to everybody else. And that made me so happy, because you see there's a bigger picture. And so I'd ask everybody tonight if they wouldn't mind sharing kind of some of their key takeaways from the retreat, and you know, whatever they've chose to apply moving forward from it. And I just want to tell you, like, I think for me, being in this business for 5 years, my key takeaway was that growth does happen when you're consistent and stay faithful. But the kind of growth that was amazing to me was seeing like these ladies talking to other people, sharing their story, getting more vulnerable, getting challenged, and seeing them have light bulb moments was like a light bulb moment for myself. That, you know, sometimes we're plowing and planting and watering, and we're like, is this doing anything? You know, because we're at home in our house on a computer. But when you get in a room, you're like, holy cow, this does so much more than I could have ever imagined. And that was my big full circle moment. My first time ever going on a retreat at Summer's house in California, I remember feeling I didn't belong. I felt like I snuck in the back door. I felt like I was like a fraud because everyone there was so much better and more successful than I was. Those were the thoughts that ran through my mind when I was there. I cried the whole retreat because I was like pregnant, emotional, and hormonal and just so overwhelmed with joy. Yeah, Sarah. But I left that retreat feeling like God started to work on my heart. This retreat, I felt like this is our family, and that healing has come. And now I get to help other people, bring them in and find that connection and that healing and that joy, so that you can make whatever it is you choose to do with this business. So that being said, I don't know who wants to go first. I figured you guys can just point to each other. Who wants to go first? This is like the longest game of chicken ever.
I can go first.
Okay.
I don't really have like a specific training or whatever that stuck out. I really enjoyed learning more about Instagram from the McCorkles and a bunch of the finance talks that Chad gave, and getting to experience Chad more as Summer sidekick. But I guess a lot of it was like what you were saying, Kelly, how it was really important to be so intentional and just to be there. At least for me, like a lot of times doing trainings and stuff, it's like I'm doing the dishes and I'm listening to something and getting, you know, most of it, or like jotting something down on a napkin if I figure out like I need to jot something down. Then but this was like, you know, very focused, but then you're surrounded, you're in a safe place. And I just feel like I was like saturated with information as I was leaving. And I remember telling you, Kelly, I was like, usually with retreats and stuff like this, I would feel so overwhelmed. But I just feel like so like ready to go. Like this is just something that I needed to kind of like confirmation that I'm in the right place, like my feet are where they're supposed to be. And moving forward, it's not like a blind, like, well, I hope that this is a good thing that I'm a part of, and I hope these people really do care about me, and I hope that you know, this people that I've surrounded myself with, like, you know, are who they say they are. And not that I really doubted that, but it was just so amazing to, like, even be in a group with, like, our larger team and just see how kind and, like, generous everyone was with you know, sharing with you and complimenting you and complimenting you and complimenting you. And yeah, so if for nothing else, going to events like that just just opened my eyes to just feeling more peace about you know, being a part of something like this, because you know it's such a good thing. um and there's really nothing else out there like that. So that was my biggest takeaway.
I'll go next. I have no problem with going. I thought Kelly was going to jump in. She always has something to say after somebody talks. So I was waiting for her to jump in. Good night, sweetheart. I love you. Okay. Okay. So honestly, I had some similar takeaways from Megan. I will echo those finance talks. I wish that we could share exactly what he said, because there were some things that he said that went way over my head, that if I tried to explain it, it wouldn't make any sense. But even half explaining it, when I got home, there were things I said and Ben was just like, wow, I'd never thought of it that way, you know? And there were things that I said and he's like, really? That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, it didn't make any sense to me either, but I figure they're millionaires. So, which doesn't mean they're perfect, but that's kind of my point. Like being in the room. So just by going to that weekend, I had a whole weekend worth of access to millionaires, to an NFL football player, to a social media marketing expert. You know, like I had access to those people. I got to ask them questions. I got to put my face in front of them. I got to hear their experience. So we spend all this time, you know, reading personal development and finding people who have learned what we want to know and follow them and look at their Instagram. And we watch, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk videos. I don't, because my kids are always around, but I like to. Ben does. He's like, you should watch this, but not when the kids are around. I'm like, okay. But being in the room gave me access to those people. I didn't have to go hunt all of them down and spend all of my time following them. They were right there in the room with me, you know? And so I got to hear what they had to say. It was a huge boom of belief for me. I had really been struggling with just belief in the next step. And there was even some specific training on that. Like Summer talked about, you know how we've done like where you were and where you are now. And so she added to that. She added two things to it. So she added, you know, where you were, where you are now, and where you're going. So she added that. But then she talked about the gaps in between those things. So the gap between, you guys are going to have to help me because I wasn't even going to say this and it just popped into my head. But like the gap between where you were and where you are had to do with doubt, like belief. And the gap between where you are and where you're going had to do with gratitude. Is that right? Or did I reverse those?
You reversed it.
Okay. So the first one was gratitude and the second one was belief. Okay.
Yeah.
I figure if we just work on belief and being grateful all the time, we got it covered, right? But she added those things because my struggle is, you know, I work towards this goal and then I hit this midterm goal, right? And then you walk back past it and you're uncomfortable again. And it's not fun anymore. And it felt really good back there when you had hit that goal. And you felt you had all the good feels and all that kind of stuff. And so I was struggling with, well, how do I move towards that next goal when I feel like I'm being pulled backwards, like a rubber band, like you pull away from that achievement and it's like dragging you back. And that's when Summer was talking about like gratitude and belief. And that was really a big boom of belief for me. And frankly, like, you know, when you post something on Facebook and you get like likes and hearts and comments and people say, oh, you're so amazing, or way to go, good for you. Like in these events, people say those things to your face. Like I had people who like literally grabbed my arm and said, Sarah, can I just tell you how amazing you are? And I'm like, yeah, I'll stop for that. You know, but like people would just stop you and say, or you'd say something, or you'd come down, I don't know, in more than just stretchy pants. And people are like, oh, you look so great. You know, it's like living Facebook love, you know, but with real people really in front of you. And one of like the takeaways and things that I've implemented isn't even that groundbreaking. It really is just the 5 chops at the tree. But hearing it again and again and again over the weekend, speaking of 5 chops, that you just have to show up. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be present. And guys, I will tell you, like, I have not been amazing. We went on vacation and I kind of did my power hour each day. Like I checked in on people, but I wasn't really doing a lot of forming and inviting because I was trying to just do not just the minimum, but just the stuff that I really had to do because we're on vacation. And then there are days where I have better power hours than others. So we're not even talking like amazing full checklists here. And it all comes back, you know, it all comes back. And so apparently I did my math wrong. I thought I cycled 13 times last week, but apparently that's why I was the English teacher and not the math teacher. Because someone else was like, if you cycled $210, you actually cycled 15 times. I'm like, you know, like seriously guys, like the most I'd ever cycled before, I think was like 4 times in 1 week. And I cycled in the teens last week. And it was really just because of consistency. Because my downfall was that I would do amazing power hours like Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and then not again until the next Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. So I spent all of Monday trying to hunt down the old conversations that I had left hanging for 4 days or 5 days or whatever. And so even just checking in with those people, even just answering messages, even just, I made an interest list of everybody I wanted to close this month. It's my you know what or get off the pot list. And I just, if I'm going to scroll mindlessly on Facebook, I might as well scroll through my interest list and comment on those people. And that I think has been the biggest behavior change for me since the retreat. That's all I got.
I'll go next, just in case one of the kids starts screaming here since it's getting close to bedtime. There was a lot of good stuff. So I know you talked about the financial piece. One of the things that we talked about was, Chad talked about getting highlighters and highlighting in brown things that you poop out and yellow things that you pee out, like when you go through your credit card statements or things that you're doing on a normal basis. And it kind of made me chuckle, but I thought, you know, it's not really a bad idea to sit there and kind of come up with different highlighter colors and just say, okay, how much am I spending on, you know, going out to eat or whatever it happens to be, right? So I told my husband that one and he kind of laughed. He's like, okay, we can try that if you really want to. But again, it was just something funny when you were talking about all the financial discussions. So that was one that just kind of stood out. But really, you know, they talked about one of the ones that Summer highlighted and had a training session on was that leadership ladder, right? So she talked about the hustle, the heart, the humble, and the hope. And so those were the 4 areas where she was saying, you know, your hustle is really around your pain point. And so part of that was also understanding the purpose of the pain that you're going through, right? And knowing that sometimes going through that pain isn't always for you. Maybe it's really for somebody else. And so that was kind of just one of those statements and topics that it was good to hear and think about a little bit more deeply, you know. And then the heart, of course, is your why, right? Why are you doing this? And then being humble and always having hope. And so kind of piggybacking on that hope was when we were listening, I think it was to the McCorkles, or they were talking about Instagram, I think, And they were saying, well, if you never tell the story, there is no hope. And so it kind of tied in nicely with what, Summer had been saying. And so, again, just trying to make sure that you're actually willing to tell your story and understanding what your story is. And then the other exercise that they had us do was kind of write down five stories that you've had throughout your life that you might be able to share or potentially relate with other people on. And so that was a good just kind of exercise to be like, oh yeah, I could talk about, this, or I could talk about this family situation or whatever, right? So it kind of helped you to figure out different ways that you could spark and continue conversations. And then the other just tidbit from a new customer perspective was she just said, well, has anybody ever thought about recording a welcome video, just a short welcome video to send to your customers to make it a more personal touch, since we always do these, texting or Facebook Messenger, or those sorts of things. Why not just do a quick 2-minute recording or 3-minute recording and say, hey, we're so glad, I'm so glad that you're joining me on this journey and that we're going to be doing this together, and making it more personal. And then you can even record one for multiple people technically, but it doesn't take that long to record it and send it to somebody and kind of make it more personal. So I think if I only had to pick 3, those were probably the 3. The other one, though, that I have instituted more so is the transitioning. So they talked a little bit, I think it was Brandon Bouchard's book, how he talks about transition. And for me, especially since I work full-time outside of the house and I travel a good bit, it helps me to be able to transition. Like even last week I was in Brazil. So, before I left, I'm getting my mindset around, okay, I'm going to be going here. Here's what I need to do. And then when I came home on the drive home, I was like, you know what, I might be exhausted. I might really want to shower, but I know the kids are going to want hugs and, be really excited to see me when I get home. So let me just transition while I'm driving to think through what it is they need when they see me, even though I'm please let me just get to a bed. Because I'm 32 weeks pregnant and my ankles are swollen and I'm tired, right? So, but the transition piece was also good, just to think through, what it is you're going into next, whether it's going into your power hour or going into your discussion with the team page or whatever it happens to be. So I think those were my takeaways, at least that I wrote down, among many others. But
am I the last to go?
You and then Kathleen.
Oh yeah, Kathleen. So I couldn't see who I was on here. I'll go ahead and go if that's all right. It's interesting because everybody kind of talked on a few of the points that I wanted to bring up. One of the main things for me, I feel like, was transitions. And I don't know if all of you follow, it was Christy, right? Christy Vincent or someone, or Rebecca Paymer, somebody that as soon as we got back from the retreat, just made a huge poster board and put it walking in the door from the garage. Yeah. Oh, was it Aaron? Yeah. And it was Aaron. That's right. And it was just basically I took away so many tips from that retreat just for my family, not just for the business, a lot for my family, a lot for my marriage. I mean, the transitioning piece, whether you have a full-time job, you're a stay-at-home mom, it affects us everywhere. I mean, we all try to multitask so much right now, and that's what we talked about, and especially in this business multitasking. I mean, we'll be out, at a kid's sports game answering messages or talking to somebody, but then we're talking to our kids too. And it's the transition part was stop, be present in the moment, just take a minute, prepare yourself for what you need to do, whether it's responding to somebody, talking to your kids, or just answering questions or posting on social media. I mean, this business is good because we can kind of fill in the mom cracks. But the problem is I feel like taking our brain back and forth from every different thing that we're doing takes a lot of time too. And we have somebody watching us. Just teasing. So for me, it was transitions. Another thing was the emotional awareness and really being aware. They did a little training on emotional intelligence, and it talked about really understanding how we want to help others, how we want to work how we want to work our power hours, how we want to work our business, how we want to run our challenges, take it to your family, your friends, your kids. it really is just really being aware of how we want to do it and moving forward. And I mean, a lot of this stuff, you walk away from these retreats and you just have to chew on it. I mean, I'm still chewing on some of this stuff. I'm still looking back at my notes. The other thing, sorry, I've got screaming kids tonight. I don't know what's going on in this house. But anyway, speaking of needing to chew on things and get life in order, the other thing I wanted to talk about that I really need to work on is pain points. I really, really have to dive deep into that. Know our pain points, like short term, long term, like, and that's what I wrote down. And it's like I just started brainstorming different things. They had us brainstorm, just like they also had us take some time and work on writing out our 5 stories. And I really do. I think that would be something really good for us to work on as a team, because I think that is crucial. For me, it's crucial. It's a driving point. It's a driving point for all of us in this business. I mean, like for me, I can easily come up with some pain points for my kids or pain points in my marriage, or, that really, really can drive me. And it's like, I really need to find my pain points for this business and figure out really, really what is going to, I mean, I know what drives me, but what is going to keep me driven, basically, if that makes sense. So those were kind of my 3 things: the emotional intelligence part, the transitioning part, and then the pain points.
Was awesome. And I only have a couple things to add because everyone has shared such great things. And like it's been reiterated, it's just something that continues to marinate for some time. I don't know if this was already mentioned, but I can give my perspective on Sean Harper's talk. And it's funny because during the time I really appreciated, but afterwards I grew to soak it in even more. And that's the power of our words. He from the time he and his wife were expecting their son, every day he would pray over his son in the womb, these exact words, and he continued for his son's life. So he spoke these words, and it was so powerful. It was so powerful. And then his son came up and has it memorized, but the root that it's taken in his heart and in his being was amazing. So if you guys already heard this, I'm sorry, but because I'm late getting on, we're having teething issues too. I know Elizabeth popped off for that. But he said, this is what he told his son: I'm a world changer. I am a child of God. I'm a leader. Leaders look where they're going to, not what they're going through. Just every day. So simple, so awesome. And the power of spoken words. I think I have more of a melancholic personality, introverted personality, and so there are a lot of thoughts, but I don't always speak as much. And so to hear just the power of the spoken word and have that rooted as wives, as mothers, like the gift that we can give our family by the words that we speak to them, even if it doesn't seem like it's making a difference, it is. There's a lot of power behind what we say, and I think that's something Summer has talked about a lot. But that was really hitting home. And Sean Harper also talked about how at different seasons, you're going to have different people that go with you and journey with you. And I like to hold on to people. I don't really want to let people go if they're with me for a certain time. It's like, you're always going to be with me forever. Great. So just how we are given people to journey at just particular times when they need us, when we need them, and you have people that will challenge you and help you go to the next. Thank you. Yeah, Megan, being an introvert is a gift. You have people who are just with you for that season, and it's not a bad thing. And so to really, I think that helps us live more presently to appreciate what we've been given in this time that we've been given. So he broke it down into a couple categories, and I can just share these if it's helpful. Some people who as you're getting ready to, you're going through a struggle, you're going through a challenge, they're not ready to go with you. That's not part of their chapter. It's just so that's okay. You can let them go. They're going to be people as you're going through a struggle who are just going to say that, like, I'm praying for you, I'm here, and that's good support, but that's another group. So some people are just like gone. Some people are going to be like praying on the side, and then some people are going to be like in with you. So he's the example, like, you're going into a fire and they're like, here's water, we're in this, and they're journeying it with you. So just to realize, I don't know, all different, just it was helpful for me to kind of get an analogy or different thoughts around that, around the journey, and take everyone where they are, if that makes sense, and be grateful for all the connections and all the relationships. And then let's see, how there was a difference between winning and success, and I think this is huge. He mentioned how if you have, let's say, $2 million, is that the number he gave? He gave, sorry, excuse me, pregnancy, heartburn. Yeah, $2 million. Okay, so you're living in Columbus, Ohio, and you have $2 million. That's pretty good. That's awesome. You're really comfortable. If you live in Manhattan and you've got $2 million, you're like normal, maybe a little below average, for the neighborhood. And then if you live in Dubai, India, I didn't even know this, you would basically be in poverty with $2 million. So how the amount is not defined, that's not a defining amount. So success changes where you are. So you have to figure out what winning looks like for you. Because if that $2 million was everything to you, you would be losing depending on where you were living. So how to like really root into what our wins are and not be defined by the things around us, but to claim that for ourselves. I think that's a pitfall that's really easy to fall into, because we look to others for encouragement, support, and goals, but you have to get it for yourself, or it's not gonna have any meaning. Yeah, true, Sarah. Our team, that's why we have our team, so we can all help each other, and encourage each other. And I think I had one other thing, but honestly I can't find it right now through all of my awesome scribble notes. Yeah, and just the consistency. Yeah, so many notes. Just consistency. This is my continual struggle. But it doesn't have to be simple. The 5 chops of the tree I have to do, meet me at the tree again. Just little baby steps, consistency over time. Investing in things that matter to you. They mentioned a marriage journal, like keep a journal of everything that your spouse does right, and like write something in it every day. And that your perspective changes when you're more aware of those things, or you have a richer marriage, deeper marriage. So what you're looking for, you'll see more of. So I appreciated that. It was like a total life retreat. Total like reboost on everything. So those are my main thoughts.
Thank you. No, I think I think you guys, like, and Tasha just hopped on, she was there too. Like, I don't know if you wanted to share anything, Tasha. Like, I think for me, that what I love about it is, and that's why I want to have as many people in our community doing this, because it's transformed more than just my physical fitness. Like, if I made a list of all the things that have changed since becoming a coach, my physical fitness is like on the bottom of the list, not because it's the least transformed, but because that, like, my marriage and being a mom and being able to navigate like my boys' special needs and being able to navigate my anxiety and being able to like the way, you know what I mean? Like the first retreat I went on, I came home and Courtney's like, how was the retreat? I'm like, we need to go to counseling. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, the guy there, Doug Fitzgerald, talked about how good marriages need to be great and they should go to counseling. And he was like, I thought this was a beach body retreat. Like, what the heck, but meaning we have people pouring into us. Like, that's what winning is. If I'm a millionaire, but my marriage is horrible, I'm losing, you know? So I'm so glad you brought that up. Y'all, this was awesome. Tasha, did you want to share anything?
Sorry, I hopped on late.
That's okay. I didn't mean to I just totally put you on the spot, but I just wanted to ask.
I don't even have my notes out. I was actually talking to I had a Zoom call with a few of my challengers that wanted to like meet face to face that are doing 2B mindset. So I didn't realize it conflicted with this, but the retreat was a total I think my biggest takeaway was when he was talking about success and winning. So for me, not a lot of people know, but I have a bachelor's and a master's degree and I don't use it. Like, I have a master's degree in counseling studies and I don't work in my field. And I didn't realize how deep rooted it was that I didn't think I could be successful because I, quote unquote, wasted that money on those degrees and I'm not being successful in that area. And it seems like I just couldn't be successful anywhere else because of that. And it just really clicked for me. Like, those degrees weren't ever meant for me to do what I wanted to do. Because I use those skills every day in coaching. And that was a really big thing for me, is like, you don't need to be successful according to what the world says you should be doing with those degrees. Are you winning with what you learned from that? So that was a big takeaway for me.
That was awesome. Like, I love, she talked in our challenge group today about progress, not perfection. It was so good. Like, so good. Like, Rebecca talked yesterday about like the power of words. So it's kind of funny that we're talking about this tonight, because it's like people think they're signing up to drink some superfood shake and do some squats.
Yeah.
Like, watch out. No, that's powerful. That's really cool that you shared that. Like, because and Sarah put this up here, your purpose is for you or through you, but never about you. And that he talked about, like, Sean Harper, if he ever comes and you're around, just get ready to like massively do this and not catch everything he says. Like, everything that comes out of his mouth is like, could be on a tank. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so good. Thank you. Well, guys, I appreciate everybody sharing, and you know, like, the purpose of this is to just fill you up, since if you couldn't be there, since people listen to the recording. And like, I know for Summit, we've got people having babies, like Lindsay and Danielle are like going to be, you know, and Kathleen are like birthing while we're doing the super workout. But the point is, that's why we're here too. We share our takeaways. That's why we have our little team page to share our ups and downs and to get to our pain points. I love that you brought that up, Rebecca. I think that's something we could do as a team, you know, like, dig into that together. That's why it's like a small huddle, you know. And I think that the purpose of it is I really want to encourage you, if you're not, to find some events that you can go to, whether it's a local Super Saturday, or if you find there's some coaches either in our team or in the big team that are near you, grabbing coffee. Like, Rebecca and I are going to try to get coffee, and Danielle, if you can make it, like, we'll have to figure it out, like, you know, get together more often, face to face. Stuff happens when you get face to face with people. It's just powerful. Like, I saw Tasha, I hugged her, I hugged Aaron Booker. I'm like, but next time we need to hug and talk. Like, I felt like we kept passing and hugging, but we never got to have a conversation, you know. But still, you just get blessed, and you see that you belong to the bigger picture. You belong to the big family. You belong to a mission that's bigger than you could ever imagine. And so I appreciate you guys sharing tonight. Thank you. Like, and I love that it's been a month, but we still can talk about it. Like, you know, it was powerful. So, just stay in the, you know, for like all the stuff that was shared at the beginning, that's all housekeeping, and that'll all work out. But the most important thing we can do when we bring people into our challenge groups is just sharing what we're learning, like this kind of nuggets, in what we share in our group, so that they know they matter, and they know they have purpose, and they know, you know, it's that they have worth, and to have patience with them, to know how long it takes us through our process too. So, but I am so appreciative of you guys being here tonight, and I'm thankful for your time, and excited. I'm really excited. Good things are happening. So, anybody have anything?
Real quick?
Yeah.
I just wanted to plug for our call Sunday night, our team call. our challenge group is going to lead it, but we would love if anybody has any other ideas. We had a couple of ideas kicking around, but Kelly calls me like the queen of metaphors. And because we're gardening right now, it's a really good time to go off the deep end with that. But kind of talking about the difference between Miracle Grow and compost.
Because I told you that Jesus likes to, never mind, sorry. I told her the other day, I was like, Jesus sometimes dumps some Miracle Grow, but really, and I just sent the poop emoji to make you grow fast.
Right. So, but talking about how the stuff that looks shiny and has fast promises is actually toxic to your progress and poison, and the stuff that stinks a little bit and is hard. And frankly, it was so funny. There was such a God thing. I was in the car with my kids. I have 5 kids on the outside, and we were talking about something, and it just came out of my mouth. You know how like you open your mouth and your mom comes out? Like I open my mouth and Summer comes out sometimes. And I was like, sometimes you just got to do something you don't like in order to get something you want. And it has become like a thing. And so we were talking about it today. John Paul was emptying the dishwasher. He's like, Mom, this is one of those things. Like, I got to do something I don't like, get something that I want. And I'm like, yeah, but he wanted to make banana bread. And I'm like, you have to empty the dishwasher first. Like, just that stuff, just that idea that in order to get what you want, whatever it is, you've got to kind of go through the stinky manure to get the good and lasting growth that really is lasting. It's not shiny. It's not in a pretty package. A lot of times it's a big heap that you have to sift through. But it's what makes for lasting growth and great fruit at the end. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. And then I'm sure there'll be some other things that pop up along the way too.
No, I love that. That's great. I know I told Stephanie Griffin that earlier today. I was like, Jesus, sometimes Sarah and I were talking about gardening, and he really just likes to dump horse manure on me because my granny told me that's the best fertilizer. And then you grow. And she's like, yeah. And it stinks, but it's good. That's a great topic. So that's 8:30 Sunday night, and we'll have the link posted in the team page, and it'll be in the challenge groups too. So, and when Clean Week will open tomorrow, but we'll start it on Monday. So I would add people like Sunday. I mean, you can add them sooner, but no post is going to go up till like Monday. But take some time and let's get that stuff all polished up. So if anybody wants to venture out and run their own, I'd love to have 2 clean weeks so we don't have 100 people in it. But we can talk about that on the team page. No, thank you for sharing that, Sarah. That's actually great for us every week. Maybe whoever's leading, we can share on the team call what the Zoom is going to be. That way we know, and it makes those of us doing it get it done before Saturday. Not that I ever do that, just saying. All right, guys, y'all have an awesome night. Thanks so much. Take care.